Supernoria by Walter Schaefer. Chapter 3 Sport. The Ministry of Sport, where Kat's elder brother Dos worked, was responsible for saving endangered sports. Dos' task was to monitor the simulation of the few remaining games and transfer the players' metrics into the playing field. Sports lack chance. That's why some types have gone extinct. I'll bring them back to life, Dos said sadly, while Kat had been looking at his project and turning the bundle in her hands. Dos was not particularly good at untangling bundles, but he had a good heart, as their mother always said. Although Kat was younger than Dos, she had helped her big brother with his homework in the past, and later also with his projects, which were important for obtaining his position in the ministry and then keeping it. He had inherited his love of sport from his grandfather, Karl, who liked to tell him stories from printed scriptures about single fighters. They struck each other with hands and feet to see how long one of them could remain standing. There were rules, too. That was what made the game so exciting. The athletes back then were creative in developing lives. It takes more effort to bypass a rule without getting caught than simply following it. But one was not allowed to overdo it. No one liked free riders even back then, Grandpa Carr said provocatively, looking at Kat. The sports in which single fighters competed against each other had become unpopular long before Carr's era and had almost gone extinct. The reason for this was the optimization made by the Ministry of Sport. The athletes' metrics were overlaid with their current physical state and the weather conditions so that one could calculate who would win first, when, and how. The next logical step did not take a long time. Some games were transferred completely into simulations. In the stadiums, they showed simulations so good that no difference between real and unreal could be recognized. With the distances and speeds involved, it was questionable anyway whether anyone could perceive details. Most people only stared at the large scoreboard when something decisive happened. In the front rows sat mainly athletes or board representatives with their companions, letting themselves be seen by the crowd. Operating the stadiums was stressful and energy intensive. Nevertheless, the ministry kept them at first. I will make the ministry important again. There were times when the Minister of Sport had more power than the head of state of a medium sized region. Athletes were worshipped so much that people even printed their names on pieces of clothes. Dos repeated his grandfather's statement. And how do you plan to do that? And for what purpose? Kat asked, while she continued searching for a solution in the bundle. I'm doing it for Grandpa, and I know how. You think you're smarter than me? Even logical beings wag their emotional tail like primitive humans when they stand before a maybe, the tipping point between one state and another. I only have to bring that maybe back into sport, Dos said proudly. The Ministry of Sport had been successful with the introduction of simulations. The density of information had been compressed so strongly that it was soon called the most efficient ministry. When transmitting a simulation, only the metrics were sent, about 10 to the 7th times less information than in a real time broadcast. The athletes did not have to travel. There were no unfair decisions. Order and rules were maintained. The human being as a disruptive factor was removed from the system. The board representatives in particular were pleased about this and fully supported the ideas, which at the time were considered extremely innovative. They could buy seats without wasting their time on games they did not like. Pure optimization. Was that your war, Grandpa? Tell him about the knife from the Western land too, so he completely loses his mind, Cat countered. What knife? Tell me, was it from your research trip to the Western land? Did you bring it here? Dos asked with a great enthusiasm. From event to event, the number of passive spectators rose enormously. Many representatives bought seats and had their presence simulated. The stadiums were always sold out. What a success! But the number of active spectators slowly declined. Thus began the gradual extinction of sports. The number of active spectators decreased unnoticed while the stadiums remained sold out. After the representatives noticed this, they lost interest in pretending to be present. The sport minister at the time, Ko, had been an athlete himself. He knew sports events only from his own experience and had never watched them from the stadium. He was convinced that it was only about athletic performance and was additionally deceived by the success among the representatives. As a result, he produced calculations that ultimately drove his ministry into ruin. An expert's view from the inside had missed the goal from the outside. Yes, Grandpa Carr whispered. I brought back a universal knife. You can cut anything with it. To be continued. This novel is written by Walter Schaefer, a German physicist, and his daughter. Translation and promotion, Veronica. Thank you for your attention and see you next time.